Before they sold over 100 million records. Before they filled arenas around the world. Before, in the end, became the anthem of a generation. There was just a group of kids chasing a sound no one had heard before, and one young man screaming his pain into a microphone long before the world ever heard his name. This is the Linkin Park story, before they were famous. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of the greatest bands in the world, before the fame. Let's rewind to Agora Hills, California in the mid-90s. That's where three high school friends, Mike Shinoda, Brad Delson, and Rob Borden, started jamming in a garage. They called their first band Xero. Mike Shinoda was a graphic design student at Art Center College of Design, and Brad Delson interned at Zomba Music, giving him rare early insight into the music business. They weren't overnight sensations. In fact, they were rejected by every major label they pitched their early demos to. They didn't even have a lead singer. Mike was doing vocals, but they knew they needed something else, something more intense. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, Arizona, a 19-year-old Chester Bennington was working at a Burger King to support himself. He'd grown up in a broken home. His parents divorced when he was 11, and he battled addiction and depression from a very young age. But music? That was his outlet. Chester had already been in a band, Daze, and had even recorded 2 albums with them. But despite regional success, Daze dissolved in 1998 after internal tensions. In 1999, Xero's original vocalist, Mark Wakefield, left the group after their demo failed to attract label interest. Brad and Mike were desperate, and one of their producers, Jeff Blue, passed Chester's demo to the band. When Chester got an offer to audition for Xero, he recorded vocals overnight in a friend's studio, on his birthday, and sent them to LA by morning. It changed everything. Mike Shinoda was stunned. He said Chester's voice made their songs sound real. Within days, Chester was on a plane to California, and the band renamed themselves Hybrid Theory. But even with Chester, success didn't come easy.
Enjoy practicing like it's a live show, because it's really who we are. We really like to go off. That's what we like. It's kind of pointless to sit in a practice studio and pull up a bunch of stools and sit down and practice like that.
They played empty clubs, printed homemade CDs, and were rejected by every major label. They even considered calling themselves Platinum Lotus Foundation, which, yeah, sounds more like a wellness spa than a rock band. In 1999, Warner Brothers finally gave them a shot, thanks to talent scout Jeff Blue, who championed them for over a year. With a record deal finally in hand, they had to change the name one more time. Hybrid Theory was already taken, so they picked a name that sounded like a place but had no baggage. Linkin Park, inspired by Linkin Park in Santa Monica, but altered for a matching domain name. They changed the spelling so they could afford the domain name linkinpark.com, which was unregistered, crucial in the early 2000s internet boom. Everything was in place. And in 2000, they released their debut album, Hybrid Theory. Hybrid Theory exploded. One Step Closer, Crawling, Paper Cut, each track more emotionally raw than the last. But it was, in the end, that changed their lives forever.
If you know it, then you need to help us out. You sing along with Chester, all right? Let's go.
It starts with
One thing, I don't know why. Doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind.
The album sold over 11 million copies in the US alone. Suddenly, Linkin Park wasn't just a band, they were a movement. Chester's voice gave pain a sound. Mike's bars gave structure to chaos, and their contrast created a balance that millions related to. Instead of repeating themselves, Linkin Park evolved. Their sophomore album Meteora in 2003 refined their sound with hits like Numb and Breaking the Habit. And then they took a risk. In 2007, they released Minutes to Midnight, ditching the nu metal formula. Critics were divided, fans were surprised. But the band was growing, and so was Chester. His vocals became more vulnerable, his lyrics more introspective. Tracks like Leave Out All the Rest and Shadow of the Day showed a different side of him, a side not many got to see off stage. Behind the scenes, Chester continued battling inner demons. Despite the fame, he was open about his mental health, talking candidly about depression, addiction, and trauma.
I don't know if anybody out there can relate, but like, I have a hard time with life. Sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes it's great, but a lot of times for me, it's really hard.
Even at the height of his success, Chester remained that kid from Arizona, raw, kind, and fiercely empathetic. Linkin Park kept evolving. 1,000 Suns challenged political ideas, Living Things blended electronic and rock, and The Hunting Party brought the aggression back. In 2017, they released One More Light, their most polarizing and personal album yet. Critics weren't sure what to make of it, but fans knew it was Chester's heart on display. Just 2 months after its release, we lost him.
Chester and you were the heart of Linkin Park. You rapping and Chester singing, it was a really just a unique sound. And then to lose that connection with somebody has to blow your fucking mind. I can't even imagine the pain you were in.
Chester Bennington was more than a frontman. He was a voice for the broken, a scream for the silent, and a reminder that vulnerability is strength. Before the fame, there was just a group of underdogs who believed music could mean something, and in the end, it did. If you found meaning in this story, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite Linkin Park memory, and subscribe for more stories of artists who changed the world, starting from nothing.